From the studio in Nitro, West Virginia, this is Unreasonable Doubt. It's a podcast about West Virginia University basketball. I'm Josh Witt, and that was something. Ross Hodge had to call a timeout before the first TV timeout. Again, because of another slow start. West Virginia had 2 points in the first 7 minutes of this game. To my knowledge, there wasn't a 7-minute scoring drought again. Technically progress, 2 points in 7 minutes. Somehow West Virginia made it to 20 before halftime and only found themselves down 10. And that was a first half where West Virginia did not make a three. It was the second half of basketball in a row where Honor Huff and Trayson Eaglestaff, two of West Virginia's three leading scorers, didn't score a point. So at halftime, West Virginia was going on 40 minutes of basketball with two of their three leading scorers not scoring a point together at the same time. And just bad stuff like Kerr Kriisa lurking. He got to play in this one. He drew 2 charges in the first half. I thought we got rid of that call out of college basketball. Resurrected in Cincinnati. Didn't feel great about the whistle. The home whistle was great for the Bearcats. And we get to the second half. Ross Hodge has to burn a timeout before the first timeout in the second half because Cincinnati's lead went from 10 to 14. It was 37-23 with a little over 16 minutes left. And I didn't have this as a must-win. I've told you the playbook of getting to the bubble. My sad attempt to just West Virginia, to get West Virginia to the bubble. They've got other road opportunities, and so it didn't have to be this one. And it's hard to sweep a team. But down 14, a little over 16 minutes left, and Honor and Trayson still haven't scored a point. And during that timeout, I drifted. And it got weird. It got sad, and it got weird. I pictured myself as a grandpa. I'm a grandpa. And I've got a grandson on my knee, and in my vision, my grandson asked me, "Papa, what was Ross Hodge's first year like at WVU?" Why my grandson would ask me that, I have no clue. But in the timeout commercial break, that wasn't the TV timeout, I had to tell my grandson in this vision how rough it was. Well, youngin', it was rough. It was a long time ago. I do remember 2 of the 3 leading scorers not scoring a point for 60 straight minutes of basketball in the middle of the season. They did it at the same time. And then my grandkid in this vision's like, "But Pawpaw, you said they were leading scorers? How could they not score and be leading scorers?" And I said, I know, youngster. It doesn't make any sense to me either. I'm getting old, and I've spent way too much time on this earth thinking about the 2025-2026 West Virginia University Mountaineer basketball team. And then I start trailing off. And I get that 1,000-yard stare, kind of looking away from my grandson, and he notices that I'm checking out, and it's upsetting him, and his bottom lip starts quivering, and I can see that in my peripheral, and it looks like he's going to cry. It snaps me out of kind of that 1,000-yard stare of wondering what happened in the 2025-2026 season. And I get mad. And it's not at my grandkid. I love my grandson in this vision. I'd do anything for my grandson. It's more of regret. Regret of how much time I've spent thinking about the 2025, 2026 Mountaineers. Of course, other frustrations as in this vision, as I'm a grandfather, thinking about all the frustrations in my life, some that have lingered for decades. And I'm mad at my grandson. I'm like, you asked me what Ross Hodge's first year at WVU was like. I didn't ask you that. I'm not volunteering that information, young man. This is your fault. Really just not a great look for grandpa. And I want to storm off. I want to get this kid off my lap and go make myself a decaf coffee, but I can't. I don't have the mobility I once had. It's not that easy at this age in my vision. So I've just got to sit there stewing with a crying grandchild on my lap. Of course, grandma comes in. She gives me a stare that I'm all too familiar with at my age. Seen that look a million times. And now my anger and recognizing what's just happened, it goes from anger to shame, sadness. Grandma reaches for my grandson, for her grandson too, walks away consoling him. She doesn't turn around to see me trying to figure out what just happened and also trying to figure out how Huff and Eagle staff played considerable minutes in the 2025-2026 season and together had 60 minutes of college basketball where neither of them scored a point. And then I reach for the blanket, that the only blanket I can reach to. It's got some age to it. There's a little hole in it. I put that blanket over my head, recline the lazy boy, close my eyes, trying to force myself into a nap. And it doesn't work like that. I've been on this earth a long time as a grandpa. I know you can't force a nap, but in my vision, I'm trying to do that. Anyways, it was a normal commercial break. My mind wandered. Deep, sad, depressing thoughts. I mean, the nice part is that in this vision, I've got a grandkid. Anyway, West Virginia's down 14 with 16 minutes left. They're averaging under 1 point a minute. And then Chance Moore gets an and one, not by doing the Chance Moore thing, which is driving baseline left and getting to the rim. He's on the right side, goes baseline right, and one. Then Honor Huff goes from scoring 0 points in 2 halves plus to 14 points in under 4 minutes. He gets 14 in a row for WVU. Then Trayson Eaglestep, who hasn't scored in 2+ halves, he makes a 3 to give West Virginia a lead. I think it's the only shot he made in the game. And then freshman DJ Thomas makes 3 important baskets, including 2 threes. And West Virginia, despite not getting the 60 for the 4th straight game, goes to Cincinnati, leaves with a 59-54 win, the same score as the home game versus Kansas State. And West Virginia gets their 2nd road win of the season. West Virginia gets their 6th Big 12 win. West Virginia gets a season sweep, 2 in a row sweeps over the Bearcats. And I don't have to think about visions of telling my grandkid about leading scorers together not scoring for 60 minutes of basketball. I'm glad I don't have to have that vision ever again. And I mean, just a gross display of basketball in totality. Wes Miller is on the other sideline, and body language when Cincinnati's up big is not great. Wes Miller, it's not like a Kelvin Sampson where Kelvin Sampson is always frustrated, always trying to squeeze every bit of juice and energy and trying to destroy you. Wes Miller doesn't look like he's trying to destroy you. He's holding on. He's got a Mary Catherine Gallagher. Is that what her name is? The lady from early 2000s Saturday Night Live put her hands under her armpits. Like, that's what Wes Miller is, got hands under armpits. I don't know if he's taking them to his nose to smell them when he gets nervous, it's the body language is not communicating confidence, I guess is what I'm saying. If if I'm watching a game and a head coach looks like what I look like in my living room, nervous watching a game, that's that's not great for your coach. If they look like a nervous fan, not great. And we may not get to see Wes Miller on the Cincinnati sideline coach against WVU again. That might be it. But man, and he was sad. He wasn't raising his voice like he did in Morgantown. He was deeply depressed, Wes Miller, after the game. Apologetic. I think there's a clip of him in the tunnel, like I don't know where at in Cincinnati's arena, not in the main part, but like going up to people and saying, I I know. Basically saying, I know. And that I'm a human. And I hate it too. It kills me and I'm so sorry. And he said that in the post-game presser of like apologizing. It's not great. There's a certain recent WVU head football coach who made a famous apology video, and that wasn't received well. And so Wes Miller is at that level. I'm not going to name names here. Anyway, in that 14-point stretch for Honor Huff, what was even more satisfying, but besides the whole he hadn't scored in a long time, and he's the leading scorer of the team, that thing that was happening. And Cincinnati had great defense on him in the first half. But in that 14-point stretch, he got a 3 and a driving and 1 on former Mountaineer Sincere Harris. We know Sincere Harris is good at defense. So to see Honor Huff do that against Sincere made it even more satisfying. Kirk Creasa did not draw a charge. He was in the mix. I think Miller got the foul, but he was in front of Honor Huff, and Honor Huff got an and 1 on him. Honor had the ball in his hands a bunch. Hey, we need to score points. Let's have Honor Huff create. Not a bad plan. Sometimes it doesn't work. Tonight it did. And when he wasn't scoring those 14 in a row, he had six assists, only 1 turnover. And a lot of those assists went to DJ Thomas. He finishes with 14 points. 10 of those were in the last 7 minutes of the game. Made all of his free throws. To have a freshman, when Honor Huff, when Cincinnati kind of snaps out of it, says, "Oh gosh, we really need to face guard Honor Huff and make it very difficult for him, and we don't want him to shoot the ball." It's somebody else has got to shoot, and DJ Thomas found himself in the corner, open, drained the 3, top of the key, drained the 3. I mean, DJ Thomas recruited for North Texas. Comes with Ross Hodge of West Virginia, freshman, on the road, in a conference game, and to hit those shots, massive. Even that one where Honor Huff, crazy pass where he's getting doubled and bounce pass to DJ Thomas right outside the lane or barely in the lane, 10-footer, just real smooth catch, turn around, fluid. Shoot the ball, makes it. Amazing finish, and had to get all those points from DJ Thomas. Amir Jenkins played great defense on Jizzle James in the second half. James had a overall good game, but lots of Amir in the second half. He's not the tallest point guard, but when he's out top, spread out, and his arms wide, that is menacing. It's not Sincere Harris level of the guy he's guarding isn't going to score. It visually, it's like, well, what do you do with that when he's guarding like he's covering a lot of space in his defensive position. Impressive. And yes, is Cincinnati good at offense? They are not. But the Mountaineers in the second half, with Honor Huff scoring 14 in a row, and West Virginia didn't get to 60. So they had to get stops, and they were able to in the second half. And did Cincinnati help with that? They did at times. I mean, that one possession where it's like 25 seconds on the shot clock, and the guy on the wing shoots a 3 air ball, and then Wes Miller giving him dap. Like, you'll get him next time, Tiger. Not the Bob Huggins, get the heck out of here. Why did you shoot that ball? I would describe some of Cincinnati's shot selection in the second half as, let's call it welcomed. And West Virginia was 0 for 9 from 3 in the first half. They go 7 for 14 from 3 in the second half. West Virginia did another thing that I think could be in the Guinness Book of World Records. Has a team fouled out 2 different guys on 2 different teams with over 10 minutes of basketball left? Because West Virginia did it again. The Cincinnati backup center, who had a lot of consonants in his last name, he fouled out with close to 16 minutes left in the game. So West Virginia did that to Cincinnati. They did that in the Colorado game. Again, call Guinness. See if that's something. I don't know how many times that's happened where a team has been able to foul out a guy with so much time left multiple times. And offense, defense, the 50-50 balls, West Virginia got some good bounces in this game. And when you get 50-50 balls, it's hustle, it's effort, and West Virginia was rewarded tonight. Bounces bounced. We've watched this season and see those bounces go against West Virginia. I'm thinking about head coach Neil Brown. Everything tends to balance out. There was some balancing out tonight on the bounces. West Virginia got some good bounces in the second half, and you need that. Some balls that are batted around. Somehow West Virginia's got it, and going the other way and getting an easy shot on the other end. That was ugly, but it's a win, and West Virginia remains in the top half of the Big 12 standings. Don't look at who the teams West Virginia has beat to get those 6 wins. One of them was Kansas. Don't worry about the other 5. They all count. I mean, West Virginia is just playing the teams that they have in front of them. 6 wins, and they got a road win to make up for the Baylor home loss. Still in the top half of the Big 12 standings. I know Ross Hodge has mentioned multiple times he's trying to mirror the Houston program. But brothers and sisters, this doesn't look like Houston. This has a different vibe. Not the actual style, but just looking at the end result. Hey, what was the score of the West Virginia game? 59-54. What does that remind you of? Because for me, I'll tell you what, if West Virginia fails to score 60 for 5 straight games, they might be asked to remove the word West off of their jersey, because this reeks of early Tony Bennett Virginia Cavaliers. Different style. I mean, that offense for Virginia was a different animal, but they pack line defense instead of West Virginia's no middle. It's not how it looks. It's just the end result. And Tony Bennett thrived in games where neither team broke 60. And yes, West Virginia isn't getting all the wins by failing to score 60, but they are winning and not getting the 60 points. And if you want to compare Ross Hodge to Tony Bennett, then what you're getting with that comparison is a coach who was the first 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed, and also a guy who has a national championship. And I'm not comparing Ross Hodge to Tony Bennett. It's got Virginia vibes. And when you take it to the next step, you look at, well, what did Virginia have? And that's the spectrum. West Virginia wins. Unreasonable Doubt is under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Go to smokingmusket.com. Read posts about WVU sports, daily throwdown. Check that out. Go to the Discord. We're talking about WVU sports and other stuff on the Smoking Musket Discord. Link for that is in the show notes. Listen to West by Pod, the WVU football podcast under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Do all that stuff. Smoking Musket. The next game for West Virginia is Super Bowl Sunday. 1 p.m., Fox Network. West Virginia's back in Morgantown. And it's teacher versus pupil. Ross Hodge will face his former boss at North Texas, Grant McCaslin, who now coaches the number 13 Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech is really good at basketball. And yet, they come to Morgantown on a 2-game losing streak, including a home loss to Kansas, where Darren Peterson, he ripped their hearts out. 2 clutch threes in the last 90 seconds. Texas Tech had that game in hand until they didn't. Darren Peterson happened. Texas Tech has the reigning Big 12 Player of the Year in J.T. Toppin. Toppin had one of his worst scoring performances of the season against Kansas. Brendan Laurier gets that task of guarding Toppin. How will he do? That'll be interesting. Like I said, Red Raiders, they're ranked. They're really good at offense. They're really good at defense. They shoot the 3 extremely well, and they shoot a bunch of them. West Virginia on the season, not great at defending the 3 as a percentage. It's a double whammy there. And something, if Texas Tech comes in and shoots a lot of 3s and makes a bunch of them, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not a good recipe for West Virginia. Atwell and Anderson, both shooting over 43% from 3. Anderson didn't play in the Kansas game. We'll see if he plays on Sunday. Petty, the other guard that gets a lot of minutes, he shoots 37% from 3. So they're really good at shooting the shot that is worth the most points. Texas Tech does not have a lot of size, and yet still really good numbers in rebounding and defending. West Virginia hasn't beat Texas Tech in Morgantown with a full crowd since before the pandemic. So this is a tough spot for West Virginia, playing a ranked team that is Texas Tech going to lose 3 in a row? It's hard to see it. So this is a tough spot for West Virginia, but in my sad trying to figure out how to get West Virginia to the bubble conversation, West Virginia's either got to win this game on Sunday or beat BYU at the end of the month. So can West Virginia get another bubble resume win? Can the teacher beat the student? Can the student defeat the teacher? We'll find out. That's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Listen on all the platforms. You just pick one: Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube. Until next time, I'm Josh Witt. WVU for the 2025-2026 season, they have 15 wins and they have 8 losses.